Boom shakalaka, what is going on everybody? Randall here from Crypto Love. Today's episode we are going to be taking a look at, is $100,000 Bitcoin possible? There's been a lot of talk about $100,000 Bitcoin coming up after this next halving. I want to take a look and see, is this something we can expect to see, or is this just a lot of hype like McAfee saying he would eat his own dick? So if you think that's interesting, definitely join me for today's episode. Alright guys, happy Monday. Welcome to today's episode. In today's episode, we are taking a look at, is $100,000 Bitcoin possible, yes or no? So, why am I doing this? Well, over the past few days, a bunch of crypto YouTubers have been saying $100,000 Bitcoin bull run as price eyes $10,000, but they're not the only ones. As a matter of fact, legendary trader Peter Brandt analyzes Bitcoin and says that the Bitcoin rally will go much higher than $100,000. About a month or two ago, he said $100,000. Now he's saying more than $100,000. Why is this? Well, he's taking a look at these parabolic run-ups that we see here. He says we can use recent low that we've seen back in December to connect to December 2018 as redefining the parabolic advance that could be in the process of developing now. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I can make an argument here that I'm not really sure can be made yet, that we're going a lot higher than $100,000 and it won't be until 2021. So he's saying going way higher than $100,000, but not in 2020, not going to happen until 2021, which is a year that a lot of people have talked about for $100,000 Bitcoin. Now further, he talks about these continuation symmetrical triangles here, where basically he's going to look at this continuation as time goes on and starts to challenge the upper line here. If this can take out the upper line here, if we take out the highs we make back in June, then we've completed this symmetrical trial and can really start accelerating the bull trend in Bitcoin. Now that would be great news, but we would need to take out those highs we saw back in June. Now I myself have taken a look at Bitcoin price, doing some amateur technical analysis, amateur data analysis, whatever, and have come up with a couple Bitcoin price predictions for 2020, 2021 after the halving to be somewhere between $85,000 based on this one I did in the Bitcoin 2020 halving price prediction, or up to $150,000 in the My Bitcoin exit strategy. If you want to find those things, I'll post the links down in the comments, or you could just look at my previous videos. So everything's looking great. I mean, we have halvings coming up. We have great traders saying $100,000 Bitcoin at the minimum. We have a bunch of crypto YouTubers saying the price is going up $100,000. Why on earth wouldn't it go up to $100,000, right? Well, first things first right now, we're starting to enter greedy territory with the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Not only is everybody saying the price of Bitcoin is going up, but we have everybody being greedy thinking, the price is going up. But there's a few other things that I think people need to remember when we're taking a look at this, because even though Bitcoin has had two parabolic run-ups, maybe two to three parabolic run-ups previously, especially ones associated with the halvings, that does not necessarily mean it will happen again. History doesn't repeat itself. It rhymes, it doesn't repeat itself. And especially when people expect something, oftentimes you get something different. The best laid plans of mice and men are often go awry. So what am I talking about? Well, back here in December of 2017, we have something that Bitcoin has never seen before. Can you figure out what that is? Pause the video and comment down in the comments. See if you can figure it out. Well, for those of you who actually took the time to pause the video and do that, it was Bitcoin futures. Before that point, nobody could bet against Bitcoin. At that point, everybody was either pro-Bitcoin or they were not involved. Well, once Bitcoin futures came out, people could bet against Bitcoin. They could short Bitcoin. And in doing so, that affects the price negatively because that's where people want it to go. But that could fundamentally change the way that Bitcoin works. And I don't know. I'm not a professional trader. I don't know how that's going to affect things. But taking a look, there's two options in terms of where we have to go with Bitcoin futures affecting things or Bitcoin futures not affecting things. So this is B for Bitcoin right here. If futures do affect things, and maybe that $20,000 was the highest we'll ever see, then potentially we could ride this trend line down to the end of 2021 seeing maybe a $6,000 Bitcoin going to a 2,000, 1,000, eventually all the way down as people short it because they just think it's old, it's not useful, all that stuff. That's one option. The other option is, this other trend line, this one going up, where eventually by the end of 2021, we will see somewhere around $100,000 Bitcoin. So we kind of have a crux right here, going between two different ways, and I honestly don't know which way is going to go. So what did I do? I made some lists, the pros and cons of a $100,000 Bitcoin. So let's take a look at the pros first. First, we have a Bitcoin halving, and generally, within 2 years of a Bitcoin halving, actually so far it's been 1.5 years of a Bitcoin halving, we have had a significant price increase, a parabolic run-up with blow-off top and a lot of gains. So we've got that going for us. Also, recurring parabolic runs. There's been at least 3 parabolic run-ups with Bitcoin. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and everybody wants 4. So we have 4 parabolic run-ups with Bitcoin. So recurring parabolic runs, we're just waiting for that stuff. Also, a big one, at least in my mind, is a fixed supply. Simple economics, supply and demand. If the supply is fixed and the demand stays the same, then the price will stay the same. But if the demand increases, if it becomes more popular, the price is going to go up exponentially. Well, there's a fixed supply of Bitcoin, but really it is a deflationary supply. So the amount coming in decreases over time, and that's what this halving sparks. A lot of FOMOers because they're like, hey, I'm not going to be able to get it, and that could cause that. And then fourth, Bitcoin basically just crushing the old monetary system. The SWIFT banking system, completely useless. Working in cash and using banks, completely unnecessary because we have Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So all four of those things are saying, hey, Bitcoin, other cryptocurrencies are good, potentially price could go up. However, there are some cons. The cons would be the futures, like I discussed before. Now people can bet against Bitcoin, and a lot of people bet against Bitcoin. So that's one thing. Second, everyone's expecting a $100,000 Bitcoin. I mean, pretty much every channel has been saying $100,000 Bitcoin. Everybody expects after the halving the price to go up to $100,000. So everybody's expecting it. And third, we have strong resistance from banks and people supporting banks. So a lot of banks are against Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. A lot of people like Warren Buffett, who invest heavily in banks, are against Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So that's the pros and the cons. Lastly, my last little thing that I will say is, remember the Tickle Me Elmo craze. I think this is the silver bullet. This is the thing that could definitely drive Bitcoin to $100,000 or higher. And not because Bitcoin is red and furry and it's ticklish, but because there is a limited amount of Bitcoin. I remember before I got into Bitcoin, the only thing I knew about it was that's that thing with the fixed supply. What happens when they run out of it? Then got into Bitcoin and was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. Well, guess what? Because there is a fixed supply, it causes craziness. Now, Tickle Me Elmo, some of you might not remember because it happened 20 years ago, and a lot of you are probably like 17, 18 years old. But basically, this was a limited edition toy around Christmas. People went crazy to try and get it. The price of it went up through the roof, kind of like Bitcoin would do after the halving, after people realize that it's limited supply, there's not that many left. They want to get their own Bitcoin before everybody else. Now we just have to ask, is this Tickle Me Elmo phase of Bitcoin, did it happen already here at $20,000, or is it yet to happen? That's the big question, but the answer is, remember Tickle Me Elmo. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you check out the Monarch wallet, hold Bitcoin and 3,000 other cryptos, and I'll see you later. Peace.